In our first story, the minority in Parliament is asking government to urgently release monies under the District Assembly's Common Fund to MMDC East. And this is to help them deal with the coronavirus spread. They say the DACF, which government gives quarterly to assemblies, has since not been paid from the last time it was in November. Deputy Ranking Member on Parliament's Local Government Committee, Ben Kodo, says various assemblies currently do not have resources to deal with sanitation issues and other concerns just because of the non-payment of their common fund.
From the constituency, for that matter, my municipality. And there is a lot of heightened activity to implement policies and activities that will enable the people to fight the coronavirus, COVID-19. But they need a lot of money. It's a huge area. We have a lot of health facilities. We have a lot of community organizations. And the assemblies don't have the money to be able to fight this coronavirus. So I'm calling on the government, since the assemblies mainly depend on the this assembly's common fund to be able to carry their activities. I'm calling on the government to release the fourth quarter this assembly's common fund to the assemblies so that they can start their work before even the loan that government is seeking comes for further enhancement of their resources. Because as we stand here now, the fourth quarter is due, but has not been paid to the assemblies. Not only these assemblies, even MPs cannot effectively function very well to assist in fighting this coronavirus.
Just to get a sense, for about how many months now haven't money gotten out to
the last time they released money was in October, November last year. So since then, they haven't received any money. You remember we had to even struggle to get the minister to pay the money. So what I'm saying is, whatever the time is, we need the government to release money for the fourth quarter of 2019.
In agreement is the majority member of Parliament for Bantama, Daniel Ochem Abwaji. He agrees that these monies need to be paid to the various MMDCs.
I think so. I think yesterday, I don't know if you're on the floor, was it the health fund or something like that? There were provisions and approvals that we agreed on the formula report of the Committee of the Whole so that National Health Insurance Fund could be released on time and to make sure that people are able to provide help. So that people can, yes, so we need all the resources. And of course, the Common Fund, we are all waiting for it. I'd like to have Common Fund and use some of, but that notwithstanding, people have health insurance fund as MPs. I have some. I'm going to buy a number of boxes of sanitizers to distribute, as well as Veronica Bucket to distribute. So yes, it's late, it's delayed. We wanted it yesterday, but I also encourage my colleagues, friends, MPs, to also use some of their health insurance fund to help with this. You know, because we have Common Fund, we have Social Investment Fund, we have Get Fund, and we also have National Health Insurance Fund. So if the Common Fund is still not coming, you can resort to the others because we are not in ordinary times.
We're in day 4. We'll bring you all the wrap-up. Today we have a discussion with the police, and we want you to note down the concerns you have. Since the first, second, third days, what have been some of the concerns you have and what you think has gone right with the lockdown and the way the security personnel are implementing this? That will help us a lot as we have this interactivity. DSP Efiatinge will be in the studio. She is a public relations boss for the Ghana Police Service Accra region. We'll be joined by officials also of the police from the Ashanti region. We'll take a look at comprehensively what we need to know currently. But let's get you up to speed with the current numbers as far as the infection rates are related. In Accra, we have 174, Ashanti 9, Upper West 1, Northern 10, and Eastern And all these taken from the briefing from Wednesday, also giving us a total of 195. We have 38 discharged, 3 under treatment, 80 death, 5, and under surveillance, 106. Well, that is the Ghana situation. Now let's go to the world side and through the Johns Hopkins University global cases by the Center for System Science and Engineering School or College at Johns Hopkins University. We're able to bring to you all the related conversation about the total numbers we have worldwide. And it looks like these are the numbers. We have 937,000 cases and still rising across the globe. It speaks to the related issues as to why the United States, for example, is having a hard time to clamp down on this. And so far, it looks like the deaths keep rising. And we have total deaths so1 being 47,000 worldwide. Italy is leading with some 13,000. We also do have Spain with some 9,300. France with 4,000. And then when it comes to the related death from China, it still remains at 3,100. But Iran, we have the United Kingdom, the United States, particularly related issues of death in New York City being a concern for the Trump administration. So we have all these, and it looks like this is where we have the situation. But we still do have some total number of people who have recovered from the disease, particularly when we want to focus on the United States of America. In New York City, we have 1,000 deaths so far. But there have been a number of deaths as well. The total in excess of some 5,000 we're told. And unassigned deaths in New York also remain at 580. There are others that have been recorded in Washington State, in Michigan, in Louisiana, in Illinois, New Jersey, in California, and others keep rising when it comes to the issue of the United States. But look, there have been concerns being raised by some states that it looks like the rate of infection could mean that they could have some shortages within the next week for some testing kits, some PPEs, etc. Even though the Trump administration has given some assurances to those federal government that they'll do, those state governments that they'll do some good by them. Now let's go to the world map and try to aggregate the figures and then do some extrapolations when we move forward. Look, when you come to North America, it's fully in a red color, and it speaks to the concerns that have been raised by the various states. And New York, within the Philadelphia area, seems to still dominate. If you get closer, you'll find Boston also up there, and Philadelphia also having all the related conversations when we come to how the various hospitals in those states are dealing with it. And so we have New York, Philadelphia, we do have Providence, Boston is also up there, but across the country is all dotted with red. And you go to the coast along San Francisco, Los Angeles, that will be in California, and these related issues keep being a concern. But we'll see how the day goes as far as this. In Europe, there's the UK, there's Holland, there's Germany, there's France, and the usual suspects are still on. It's a concern for the World Health Organization, because these countries remain great global players in trade, but also multilateral donor support to many third world, if not developing countries. So if they are in dire straits, it will mean that countries such as ours ultimately will suffer. You do know that, for example, we have an annual budgetary support up to about 60% for many of these countries, either in some loans or some grants or some bonds we may go and have on the markets, and other forms of some securitization over the period. And I know that you all also had the briefing from our finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, on all these. When we come to Africa, Apart from when the first cases were recorded, it looks like a number of countries now in Africa in the red. Still topping the figures. We do have South Africa, but it is when you move up, you go to Namibia, you have a case, you go to Mozambique, and in the capital, Maputo, they all are gearing up for all the related things that when it comes to the cases and how they're treating them. There's Gabon, there's the DRC or the Congo, and then you do have Cameroon, Nigeria, we have Benin, Togo, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, almost every country in Africa, with the exception of Chad. Chad seems to have a case. I think so. They have one there. So we'll see how it goes relatedly to all the concerns. So all the concerns that have been raised. Okay. Right. So these are the global perspective and how we can plot or allocate the figures to the cases that are being reported globally. But if you want to get interactive, please make sure you do so. Today, we have an interactive session with a number of experts. We have the police, the security forces are on the ground, day 4 of lockdown. But 3 days would mean that all of us, as citizens, would have some concerns or may have observed some good thing about the lockdown. So we have an interactive session with the police. Efia Tenge, she is a DSP, but the PRO for the Accra region command of the Ghana Police Service. She will be joined by some officials of the police also in the Ashanti region, and we'll have a greater conversation. What we want you to know is to know them, some concerns you have, some good things you've observed as well, and some perhaps commendations or admonition you want to give to this whole lockdown rules and guidelines. Now, they are also in the studio to reaffirm or reiterate what the rules are as far as the engagement is for us citizens. So we all will put all these into a better perspective. We're going to have a cardiologist, Dr. Joseph Akama is a cardiologist, has practiced in the United States of America for decades, but currently works with the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital, has a private practice as well. He's a regular on the show. We're here to ask him questions. You know, a lockdown means that there's a lot of restriction for many people in these cities of Accra, relatedly, Tema and Kumasi. How do you exercise your heart? What kind of healthy living and wellness actions do you need to undertake? We also do have the Food and Drugs Authority. We have hoarded food. And of course, many of us are part of the reasons why we have the increment in the prices. How do we store food in such a way that we don't have illnesses being recorded, either by way of food poisoning, etc.? The FDA is here to educate us. So, promises to be very interactive today, right here on the show. We have to take a break. When we come back, we'll look at about a few newspapers I have just in front here with me, and myself and Mama Vio Swabwaji will bring you the latest. Do stay with us. Well, lockdown, and it definitely is affecting content for newspapers or the dailies. Mama V, good morning to you.
Well, good morning, Roland Walker. I mean, who would want to go out there and go and buy newspapers? Will they even accept that you're just getting out of your home to go and buy newspapers?
Yeah.
There was a video of a woman, a restaurant owner, whose dispatch rider had been stopped. He apparently had an ID card, but the police, whoever was there checking, was asking for a permit. And she was just wondering if, in addition to the ID card, you needed a permit to pass. Somebody had ordered for 1 kinkin fish and was just frustrating the whole process. So I'm not sure. I mean, I'm just even wondering, the Daily Graphic and the Times, they are still producing. There's the New Crusading Guide as well. So a few of them are producing, but if they don't, it will be understandable. I mean, who is going to buy? Yeah,
definitely.
Wow. But it's still the Resurrection Month. We've all forgotten that this is April. It's the Resurrection Month.
We're supposed to have Easter, right?
Yes, yes. We will still have Easter. I mean, we may not celebrate it like the way we usually would do. But, you know, yeah, still the Resurrection Month. Nothing is taking that away.
Yeah.
And let's expect a miracle.
Yes. Somebody expecting a miracle is a good friend of mine. Not
Roland.
not Salifu Combat. He's always in a miracle mood. But Rebecca Sapak, good morning to you, as well as for you and your son as well, Evan. And Evan, Nana, have a good morning as well. Be under lockdown, but always be cautious.
Okay, so let's jump straight into what we have. I have the Daily Graphic. I've got the Times as well. Roland will do the one paper that he's got locked down in his hands right now. That's the New Crusading Guide. So let's begin with the Daily Graphic newspaper. Front page of the Graphic. Minimizing COVID-19 impacts. Government rescues vulnerable Kayaye to get meals, accommodation, and stipends. Comes with a picture of Mrs. Cynthia Mamle Morrison, the Minister of Gender, Children and Social Protection. She was one of the ministers who spoke yesterday at that minister's briefing, telling us about the cover that the ministry has for the most vulnerable in our society. Remember those Kaya were traveling to the north, were stopped in Kumasi. Well, they've been accommodated. They've been receiving food. So now food is going to go around. I think they're targeting about some 15,000 people who are most vulnerable in our society. So that's certainly good news. President household test negative for COVID-19 also came out of that briefing. We saw the president's personal physician make the announcement and say some 99 persons within the presidency have all tested negative. Parliament approves $35 million World Bank facility for COVID-19. APSA hollered a gift to COVID-19 funds. So we've seen in recent days quite a number of corporate organizations who are giving. They are not necessarily working because this is not a period where any business will thrive really. Businesses are shutting, but we've seen them come forward to make donations for a certain cause, which is actually very important. In the center spread, Vice President donates to stranded Kayaye. Council of State support fights against COVID-19. Rich Hospital Emergency Center reopened. Now, that's some details that you'll be interested in. So let's share a bit of that in the center spread of the Daily Graphic. The emergency center, the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, has reopened after it was closed down for disinfection following an unexpected visit to the center by someone infected with the COVID-19, thereby exposing health professionals there to the risk of infection. Briefing the Daily Graphic yesterday, the medical director of the facility, Dr. Emmanuel Stropanyo, said the center was closed to the public for almost 5 days for thorough disinfection to make it safe for both staff and patients. Well, he says here, quote, "We are satisfied to note that the environment has been sterilized and the emergency center reopened and now fully operational." That brings into mind a conversation that we're having here on the AM show, Ask the AM Doctor. So we're dealing with a pandemic, and as much as possible, we're asking people to stay at home. In fact, most of you are at home. If you have any underlying illness, we're told you're most susceptible to getting this virus if you expose yourself to somebody who has it or to an environment where it exists. And so we're trying to figure out, how do you manage what you already have? Maybe you're diabetic, maybe you have some kind of illness. How do you control it so that your visit to the hospital is less? Because right now the facilities are taking care of something that is deadly. You know, we're not saying any other disease is less, but this one, there's no cure. They're trying to figure out how to deal with it. So you really are not too comfortable even going to the hospital when you have any other illness. So how do you tone it down? If you have any chronic disease around this time, how do you manage it? We've got our AM doctor on standby this morning after 8. We'll engage him and we'll get you to talk to him. He's a cardiologist and he's a great man. He'll take all your questions. So get ready for that on a Healthy Thursday. Ask the AM doctor. All right, on the back page of the Daily Graphic, Ghana Water donates to 4 hospitals. The Ghana Water Company has distributed 500 packs of bottled water produced by the company to 4 hospitals in Accra to support medical practitioners in the front line of the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. Also, local government ministry disinfects 105 markets in Upper East. Some 105 markets in 15 districts in the Upper East region have been disinfected as part of measures by the government to curb the spread of the coronavirus disease that has affected some parts of the country. The exercise was undertaken by the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development with support from the National Mosquito Control Program, a subsidiary of the Jospon Group. Well, that exercise continues today. Roland Walker has got a bit of details on that to share with us.
Well, definitely. Today, we're in Tamale, and we will look at the number of actions that will be undertaken by the disinfection team. And of course, we know that this is being done by the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development in collaboration with Zoomlion Ghana and the rest of the waste subsidiaries of the Jospon Group, as well as other allied service providers within the industry countrywide. So it is where it started in Accra, and then they went to Kumasi, the Ashanti regional capital, went to Bono and Bono East regions, and now they are in northern Ghana. Yesterday, we brought to you the situation in the Upper West regional capital and also the Upper East region. Albert Sori, as well as the man, Rafiq Salam, were on board to make sure that that coverage was summarized for you by the close of the day. Today, we are in Tamale.
Okay, so that's the update. We'll bring you live visuals from their live reports on the ground as well on the progress of the exercise. Now, let's do the Ghanaian Times newspaper, front page of the Ghanaian Times. Here we go. President's First Lady, others test negative for COVID-19. Also, 40 COVID-19 contacts quarantined in Tamale. Ghana's COVID-19 cases jump to 195. COVID-19 update, private burials increase in Accra due to ban on large funerals because of the lockdown. In the center, spread details of the front page headlines. So the president's and 99 other persons, including his daughters, members of the household and staff, have tested negative for the coronavirus. There's a picture of Dr. Patricia Techiankra, who is the president's physician, as she made the announcement there at the press briefing yesterday. Private burials, the bit about private burials increasing. So more families, according to this story in the center spread of the Times, more families in the Greater Accra region have resorted to the use of private burials for the dead relatives following the the ban on mass funerals in the country. On the average, 30 bodies are released from a number of mortuaries to families for burial weekly. All right, so about 30 every week doing the private burial. And then there's also Hope Prison. According to this story, the Hope Prison has since last week shut its gates to new convicts in a move to prevent COVID-19 from entering its walls, according to the Deputy Director of Prisons in charge of the Volta region. Prison authorities have begun negotiation with the law courts to secure bail for some remand prisoners as part of measures to further decongest the correctional center. If you go elsewhere outside Ghana, you see or you would hear that VIPs, so celebrities making the case, celebrities who are in prison making the case that they are afraid they will get COVID-19 and trying to get to make a case so that they can stay out of prison and serve the rest of their prison sentences at home or something of the sort. On the back page of the Times, Upper East, Upper West markets, lorry parks disinfected. Roland gave us a brief on this. We're in Tamale today. Also, the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources is providing hand-washing items and materials nationwide in support of the fight against the spread of COVID-19, according to Madam Cecilia Dapa, who is the Sector Minister. So details there on the back page of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. I was super excited, Roland, about the news item that we carried. We told the story about Nima, and the spotlight was on a certain family and a woman who would go and wash for people and make her daily bread. Has a number of people at home that she caters for as well. And after we told that story. We got help, breakfast being provided, which is really, 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 really good. So we see, because we say humanity, right?
Yes.
And we say be there for each other. There are plenty people who don't have, and if you're privileged to have, you have to share.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I hope that all of us are doing our bit, trying to help those around us. And that's where we transition to do the new Crusading Guide, the last paper. And Akufo-Addo test negative for COVID-19, not only him, the rest of his family. We're told that the whole team, presidential team, they've all started the test. COVID-19 panic at Spintex. Residents agitate over Titi Affairs Isolation Center. Has come under scrutiny as well. We will ensure COVID-19 free Ghana, George Anda says. Donate hospital equipment, materials to fight the virus. And summarily, Mamavi, that's what I have. Maybe.
Okay.
Right.
So we'll spend a bit of time on myjoyonline.com. We'll do the BBC and do the CNN as well, in terms of appreciating how international media is reporting COVID-19 has taken over everything these days. So this is myjoyonline.com, and our top story: Burkina Faso, Guinea refused to receive citizens who tested positive for coronavirus in Ghana. That's a curious one. It says Ghana is facing a diplomatic hurdle as it attempts to repatriate Burkinabe and Guinean citizens who tested positive for coronavirus in Tamale. Northern Regional Minister Salif Said has disclosed that authorities in Guinea are reluctant to receive 8 of their citizens who tested positive for coronavirus in Ghana. The 8 Guineans have been quarantined in Tamale. Here's a quote picked from the story. Our headache is that the Guinea authorities are saying they will not agree for us to return them. On quotes. This was the minister speaking on Wednesday. Also, 2 Burkinabes remain in quarantine in Ghana as their home country threatened to return Ghanaians who are critically ill in their country and receiving treatment, not necessarily because they've contracted COVID-19. So that's our headache right now with this situation. But just down there, you still want to remain in Tamale, because something interesting came up yesterday. Because as you know, prostitution is not legal in this country. In fact, it is in our criminal books. So it was interesting to hear the Northern Regional Minister place a ban on an act that's already illegal. That story is also on myjoyonline.com. Northern Regional Security Council bans already outlawed prostitution.
That was quite interesting. Yeah.
So we know they operate and we know where they are, but we didn't deal with them. We waited for COVID to come and then we raise our hands and say, we place the ban on you. That's not good. I mean, that's like just exposing the fact that you haven't done your work well. I'm sorry, but that's just what it means. Because you can't, the thing is outlawed, right? And then you still, you see it happen, and then you suddenly wake up and say, I placed the ban on it. But it's one of the interesting pictures, make it real. Still on myjoyonline.com, DCE accuses police of assault in lockdown in Kumasi. We've got ASP Godwin Ahianyo on our show this morning, live from Kumasi. There's another officer joining us. I'll mention his name, and then we've got Accra as well. So we'll put some of
ACP Ajimai.
Yes, on our show this morning. So we've got the police. We'll be allowing you to interact. It's not us interacting with them, because some of the things you go through, we don't see it. So
Definitely.
We will let you interact with them.
Great interactivity right here on the show.
Exactly. Let's go back to myjoyonline.com. Let's run through the rest of the stories on our page. Ghana's COVID-19 cases now 195. Video of civilian hitting a military man happened in 2019. That was last year, according to the Ghana Armed Forces. Parliament approves $10.1 million tax waiver for Fly Zipline drone projects. 48-hour window preceding lockdown was necessary, according to Okoboy, Member of Parliament. He is also chair of the Kolebu board. Airbus scandal, special prosecutor's invitation of witnesses is just noise, according to Inisa Husseini. And then the COVID-19 Trust Fund bill laid before Parliament for approval, which is interesting because Parliament could approve by close of day today the COVID-19 Trust Fund bill, which was laid before Parliament last night by the Attorney General. The bill will give legal backing to the fund to receive donations for onward distribution to needy persons. So that's the story. These are the stories that we have on myjoyonline.com. We've got some stories with videos as well. You might, want to get there and explore. Roland?
Well, definitely. Let's go to the BBC. They have live updates as to related lockdown situations in Africa. We have Rwanda's coronavirus lockdown extended. The cabinet approves extension of restrictive measures by 2 weeks as the cases rise. We expect an extension here in Ghana too. That's one thing. Sometimes I say my extension. Look, but we have top South Africa HIV scientist dies. We're talking about Dr. Jita Ramji for her world-renowned research into HIV prevention. But it's in Kenya where we have a COVID-19 survivor saying the virus is beatable. Look, we have it under lockdown, they say, and that's in Kenya. And a young woman who was Kenya's first reported case of coronavirus says she has fully recovered. And people tend to exhibit various symptoms, and how their body is able to combat the virus varies from person to person. And these are some of the related issues that we can talk about when it comes to coronavirus. Let's go up, go up, go up, go up. Okay, so the summary of other news, but it is the United Kingdom that we'll go to. This one, this link directly sent to me by my good friend Benjamin Tufomenu, who lives in the UK on St. Smithers, and all of us have been alarmed. We don't usually go to Sky, but Sky is indicating 563 more COVID-19 deaths in UK as Boris Johnson admits, that's the Prime Minister of England is admitting that, look, more is needed. More is needed to be done. And so far, according to the estimates, we have 2,352 deaths in the United Kingdom. Yeah.
Yeah, so now you know how it looks like here in our country and elsewhere, what the newspapers are reporting today. We have to bring you sports, but before we go, I want to tell you that we have Ask the AM Doctor coming up this morning after our police conversation. That's also going to be very interactive. We've got Dr. Joseph Akama, who is a cardiologist. Your health needs, particularly at this time, the WHO boss has said something that even though we are in the midst of a crisis, essential health services must continue. Babies are still being born, vaccines must be delivered, and people still need life-saving treatment for a range of other diseases. How do you minimize what you already have so you don't quickly go to a hospital or a healthcare facility, particularly at this time? That's what we're focusing on. We'll bring you sport. Benedict has promised us another workout. In fact, he's promised workout throughout this lockdown. So we've got another Benedict. Roland?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, that's coming up in sports. Stay with us.
We'll be right back.
Hi there, my name is Benedict Owusu. Welcome to the sports segment here on AM Show. We'll go straight into our stories this morning, and Black Stars coach Siki Akono says he's willing to give more home-based players the opportunity in the national team. Well, his first call-up said he had 4 local players. I'm talking about Richard Atta of Accra Hearts, Kujo Amakon of Ashanti Gold, and then Yaya Mohammed of Aduana Stars, as well as Habib Mohammed of Asante Kotoko. For him, if the local players stay consistent, it will give more opportunity in the team.
It's up to the locals, honestly. We'll give them a chance, we'll encourage them, you know. Even I had plans before we assembled the team to have a psychologist to talk to them before, you know, they join the camp. And so the challenge is up to them. I would like to give the chance to the locals more. When I started playing, the likes of Ripon Manso, Ama Senegal, and they were senior guys, you know, Mayanga, you know, and then Salif Wansan, the goalkeeper. We had majority of locals into the team, in the national team, compared to, you know, even I started playing as a local player before I even traveled abroad. It has changed, you know what I mean? It has changed, and I think it's up to us to try as much as we can to improve that area, because there's a big gap. You know, the locals, when you see them with the professionals, there's a big gap, and that is up to them. Of course, once we see a player doing well, I will give him that chance. And they should also believe that they are coming to play, not even to be on the bench. They should believe that, and that will show automatically in training. You know, these are kind of things they will have to do, and it has to come from the individual. Yes, we've seen them, we've invited them. I'm not going to close my eyes on them once they are there and they are doing well. You know, they like somebody like Blay. You know, he looks active. When he's playing, he looks hungry. I like people who are hungry and want to be successful. It's not just one match, two matches. And my research tells me in Ghana, no player has been able to play 3 matches on the top. 3, 4. It's a challenge. They should challenge me. You know, so I'll follow you here, there, by the 4th match. First match on the high, second match in the middle, third match drop, and then he goes. No, they need to be consistent with their performance, and they will automatically get in there.
So that was Black Stars coach C.K. Akono. Now, there was a huge buzz around the Ghana Premier League before it was suspended indefinitely due to the coronavirus pandemic. Now, Heart of Oak board member Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo wants new lovers of the league to remain patient.
I think if you follow the league carefully, you can see that it's becoming very interesting. Teams have been very competitive. You don't see any sort of foul work being done by any team at all. And I'll tell these new converts or whatever you call them, these new boys or girls who are so interested in football now, that they should not lose hope at all. I am very, very sure that when we start, you know, the window has now been opened, so there might be new entrants as far as some of the clubs are concerned. And we are going to see a very competitive football that definitely will draw all our former viewers to the various stadia across the country.
And then I know there are many people who will be eager to do this, and especially residents of Tamale. And talking about Tamale, we have the national disinfection exercise. That's where the bus or the train is now, and the minister of the region is speaking and interacting.
Do a very good job. This one is service to Mother Ghana. So I am very happy on behalf of His Excellency President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo for you people accepting to come and join the team of medical professionals who are working day and night to ensure that this disease become a thing of the past. So journalists, we thank you from day one. You have been doing very well. We want to encourage you to sensitize the public to ensure that they cooperate. Then also, I want to thank the market men and women who have agreed not to come to their businesses so that they will be able to spray all the critical areas. Some major offices and other places that people congregate a lot from different backgrounds, they have also agreed to stay at home so that the disinfectation will take place in their various locations. So at this point, I also want to thank the security agencies for always being ready day and night anytime they are called on. So I thank all of them for coming out in their numbers to use a combined team of military and other experts to support this exercise. So I want to plead that they should do it with a human face. Sometimes some people may want to disobey the rules that we have put in place. So if some of the public or citizens attempt to break the ground rules, they should handle them and mindful of their human rights. I don't want any excesses to come on the way of this exercise today. Sometimes some of the people may want to be trying to test whether if they come out to open their shops, they will attempt to lock their shops and chase them out or not. When you happen to see some deviance They shouldn't say they will maltreat them. Talk to them and close their shops and let them go home. Thank you very much.
And you just heard the Northern Regional Minister, who's been giving a brief on what is going to happen within the next 24 hours in the Northern region. Now, the team has been divided into 4 groups, and they are expected to take 4 different areas and do this exercise. Some will remain in Tamale here, some will take Tolong, whilst the rest take Saviligu and Yendi. And this exercise is expected to disinfect 109 markets in the area. Now, you heard the minister saying that he needs everybody's cooperation to ensure that this exercise is successful. Right here we have a team of experts, and so when you look around, you would see a team from Zoomlion. We also have those who are ready to begin the exercise. We have journalists, the security, and all is set for the exercise to begin here in the northern region for the disinfection of the markets and major streets in the area. Right now, as we speak, they are getting set. The water tankers are here, the sprayers are here, the drones are here, and the people themselves are all set. And the exercise would soon begin. Now they are going to deploy these men, and so you will find out various teams would be, and various teams will be going to various locations for the exercise. Very soon, you would see that they would begin this exercise, disinfecting markets in the area and ensuring that streets are all disinfected. Now you can also see the military, they are all set. They are here with the police. It's a combined team, and they are going to support this exercise in the Tamale metropolis and the entire northern region. As you can see
and
right now,
this is the national
these
exercise
are the cars
that has
have allocated the exercise, and we have several of them. These are supposed to carry information across. They have speakers mounted on them, and they are expected to carry the information to tell people about the exercise this morning and ensure that people adhere to the directive to stay home. We are told that education will be ongoing whilst the disinfectation exercise is also being carried around. Now we have the men, they are all set. Right now we can see some of them with their masks, their helmets, all is set for today's exercise. And this exercise is supposed to last 24 hours.
You can see live pictures. The Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, Martina Bugri at the ground there, the Jubilee ground in Tamale, the regional capital, and it's where the train for the national disinfection exercise has gotten to. And we know that they started in Accra, then went to the Ashanti regional capital of Kumasi, then the Bono areas, Bono and Bono East subsequently. Now they are in northern Ghana. Yesterday, that will be on Wednesday, we brought to you how the exercise went in the upper east and west regions with Rafiq Salam and Albert Sori, our main man on the ground. Today, Martina Bugri is giving us this report. And it is here that we also have to tell you as to the actions that has so far been undertaken by the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development in collaboration with Zoomlion Ghana and its waste subsidiaries within the Jospon Group. And you can see their tracks there. It looks like the briefing is ongoing for the personnel, and subsequently we have security arrangement that have been provided in such a way that law and order will prevail when they go around making sure that disinfection is undertaken. Over 100 markets designated to be disinfected this morning. And you could find the regional minister telling all and sundry residents of Tamale and the affected areas to ensure that they are in a position to also cooperate with the exercise. The team throughout the rest of the day on regular programming on the channel, not only for the AM show, would also give you live updates on our social media pages, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and then we'll do YouTube, and subsequently all the updates aggregated on our main portal, myjawaonline.com. All the relevant issues on coronavirus pandemic, COVID-19, and this time we're focusing this morning or within the last few minutes and the next on the national disinfection exercise that is now in northern Ghana. And then when we come back to the studio, we will talk lockdown, the security arrangement, what your concerns are, what you have also noticed being good about the arrangement so far. If you have some complimentary advice or recommendations, the questions are all for you. We have great police personnel, all related to the pandemic, how government and the relevant state authorities are making sure we all get sorted. Stay with us. We'll be right back with more. And we do understand the police say they are investigating this particular subject. But we also do know that many of you have flogged your platforms on WhatsApp and also on Facebook with many of such related videos about alleged brutalities and then some harassment, if not molestations, you have been receiving at the hands of the security agencies, because it's not only the police that is undertaking this whole lockdown exercise. We have complementing them, the military. But this segment is basically a question and answer period. We'll have the phone lines open very soon. We already do have in the studio the public relations head for Police Service Accra Region Command, and ASP Ifyatenge.
DSP.
Okay, DSP Ifyatenge is right here with me. Good morning to you, DSP.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, and we'll be joined on Skype by ACP David Ajem, who is a Deputy Police Commander for the Ashanti region, and ASP Godwin Ahianyo, a regional PRO for the Ashanti region, and they will be joining us by Skype. We will spend the next 10 minutes or 15 minutes talking about the lockdown measures. Now let's get to you in the studio. First, what were the pre-lockdown guidelines? How did you intend operationalizing the lockdown in the first place? If you can just take us through, we'll be happy.
Yes, I think that we were all expecting this lockdown. And so following the president's announcement, we knew that yes, the police and other allied security services were the ones going to ensure that the enforcement leads us to the objective that we were looking for. And so right from the announcements, the police had its own strategies and making sure that we are able to deliver as instructed. And therefore, we began by sealing off the areas, especially the entry and exit points that we had earlier notified the public about. And so in Accra, like this, every point that you would have to go through before getting to Accra, I mean the peripheries, were cordoned off. It means that you cannot go, you cannot come inside. And apart from the sealing of areas like the Wager, like the in Sawam, heading towards Kumasi, like also from Ayi Mensa heading to Ebri and the other parts of Ghana on that corridor, and also on the Dodowa road like this, we had all these places cordoned off. Looking at this, we also have within Accra measures that were also to complement all that we had done on the outlining areas. So within Accra like this, the best way we thought security services we could handle the entire, directive was to ensure that we create some barriers within the municipalities, and therefore people were supposed to comply with this and also give police the necessary support for us to achieve whatever target we hope to. But there were some exemptions, and these have been well articulated by the President and also the Ministry of Information. And there's been a number of education that had gone on for you to get it clear as to whether you fell within these exemptions or not. So that is how we have begun, and we are still rolling out a table of gradual and tactical deployment. And day in and day out, we review our strategies based on the situation on the ground, and they are implemented.
Does it mean that on day one, after you did a review, and so that affected the deployment and the rollout for day 2 and subsequently for day 3?
I don't get it.
If you deployed 20 men at a particular area, you did a review, and so it means that you had more roadblocks at certain entry points to communities or certain area. Is that what happened?
Yes. Okay. And there is no operational strategy probably that is cast in stone. Once you are implementing the strategies that you have on paper, they are subject to review depending on the situation on the ground. And so if we applied the operational strategy, sometimes there's one thing drawing up the strategy, especially in a novel incident or pandemic like this, that we are all trying to see how best we can salvage the situation. And its implementation on the ground probably may be different. So we adjust and we make sure that we review the strategies on some basis on how best we think that the entire measures can be adhered to by the general public. Exactly.
Well, we'll take you to Kumasi. It's where we have a Deputy Police Commander for the Ashanti region, ACP David Agyemang, and we will also be having that interaction with him. But good morning to you, sir. Are you on the line?
Yes, I am here, but you are very faint.
Okay. Perhaps we will have to cut that call and re-establish the line clearly.
That's all right.
If that is possible. Okay. All right. Can you hear me clearly now?
Hello?
Can you hear me clearly now? Is it better?
Yes, I can hear you, but
it's so
you are, as I said, very faint.
Okay. We'll re-establish that. But before we also do that, we have a man somewhere around Tesano right here, and Joseph Akable is also going to just give us a sneak peek into, it looks like some altercation, because the police at Tesano have tightened the security around the area. You wanted to... okay. So, okay. Joseph, what's the situation at Tesano?
He's also to join.
Joseph?
Hello, Roland.
Yes, what's the situation at Tesano? Can you just briefly tell us?
Okay, so I'm currently some few meters away from the Tesano police station. This is a checkpoint here where the police is enforcing the restrictions that were imposed by the president. So it's important to note that for users of this particular route, they say that the levels of enforcement is a bit different, a bit more intense than it was yesterday. So you can
intense than it was yesterday, and so you can see on my left-hand side here where you have a police officer standing here. And so what is happening is that when the cars are coming and heading towards town, they stop the cars and they ask those in the car where exactly they are heading to. If they realize that you don't have any business in town, or you are not part of the workers who have been exempted and allowed to go to work per the directives from government, what happens is that you are asked to move back, and then the car turns around and takes you back to wherever you came in from.
Madam Ifea, it looks like this is also a scale-up of the measure. Is it part of the strategy after review?
Yes, actually, after the first day, we realized that especially some commercial vehicles wanted to take undue advantage of the entire exercise. So we actually scaled up our plans and clamped down on the commercial vehicles. What we saw was that they were actually loading people into the city center, and people who actually do not have any reason for being there. And for that matter, we began to find out from each one of them what their business actually were in the business district. And we realized that there were some flimsy excuses, you know, one way or the other. And you realize that they had just not taken the entire operation or the entire directives seriously. So we decided to now return them back. So every jurisdiction was to secure its area of operation or area of responsibility. So if I am the Tesano Divisional Commander, I would have to make sure that anybody within that jurisdiction is somebody who has some business of a sort to do in that particular division. And so it goes on and on and on. So every divisional commander wouldn't want anybody who have no business to do in that division to have something to do. If you have anything to do for some reason, which of course should be of an essential, then it should be within that particular area. We didn't want people to be moving in and out, you know, because the more the people move, it means that the more we continue to spread the disease. So for that one, it was a no-no for us, and that was the strategy that we were using from the second day until I speak to you.
Okay, and now in Kumasi, let's go to the Ashanti region, and ASP David Ajimaya, you are a deputy... ACP David Ajimaya, pardon me for that, Deputy Police Commander in the Ashanti region, but particularly for Kumasi and the adjoining communities or areas that have all been roped up in this exercise. How did you conduct the exercise per the review that you did after the first day?
Good morning. Good morning to you, and good morning to my colleagues. I think after the first day, we realized that there were problems with how people were conducting themselves generally. And so what we have done is that we have asked our men, to go out there and educate as well as enforce. I mean, our duty was to enforce, but we realized that three things are happening. There are persons who are out there because of ignorance. There are others who are because they are not, we haven't educated them enough. And of course, the third is the recalcitrant one. So we are trying to enforce as well as educate. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, hello. Please continue.
Yes. So yes. Our strategy is that we are trying to enforce and educate the people at the same time.
Now, we noticed that in Kumasi, even though people were supposed to be confined. We had on the first day people on the streets, and that led to you tightening the operational actions by the second day. And as a result of that, there were some confrontations with ordinary citizens. Is that what you also observed, based on what we reported on?
Yes, and that's exactly what I'm telling you, that after the first day, we realized that people were out there, and we guessed that there were 3 reasons. And the reasons were that, first, some people were just ignorant. They didn't know there was anything in place. Secondly, there were others who hadn't had enough education because, I mean, they said they could go out and do things. They felt that it was business as usual. And there was a third group who I would term as recalcitrant. They have turned themselves into tourists who would go roam over the town to see what is happening everywhere. And so what we have done is that we are now asking the men to enforce and educate at the same time. So when they see people in town, they tell you why you don't have to be there and things like that.
Question to you, Enefia, but let me start with you. Since you are a deputy regional commander, when it comes to, let's say, MMDCs, there's a video of is it a DC also, an MDC also, or an MC, so to speak, who apparently had some confrontation with your men within your jurisdiction. And I also understand that they are supposed to be the head of the security committee. Now, what is the collaboration with them? And for us to forestall such an incident, what usually would you do, or did you do up to now?
I think this particular case has come to our attention and it's under investigation, so I would rather we don't talk about it on air. But generally, our engagement with the MMDC have been fantastic. I mean, yesterday we had a delegation from Accra here. The IGP and the service commanders, the CDS were here, and the regional minister himself was out here with us throughout the time. I mean, that tells you, and so if the regional minister is with us, then all the other, and then if you have seen videos going around of the mayor of Kumasi going around, you see that he's always with our officers. That tells you that generally there is a good working relationship and collaboration between us and the MDCC. Unfortunately, this was an unfortunate incident, and I think that we'll put it behind us and forge ahead and do the work that we've been assigned to do.
Well, let me now come to Madam Ifeatenge. Now, there are reports here in Accra of confrontations with the police. Now, I have seen personally that the police have on them canes, whips, and then also the military as well. What are those intended for?
Yes, actually, if we all got it right from the briefing that was given by our Director of Operations at the National Briefing, that's the Information Services, that's the Information Ministry, before even the entire operation began. What we know is that the entire operation was going to be that of a humanitarian approach way, you know, of handling the operation. And for that matter, as we have said, we decided to use more of engagement, more of explanation, and some form of encouragement for people to know that, yes, we are out there because of the fight of this COVID-19. And for that matter, for us to be able to control its spread, then of course we need their support and compliance in staying at home. And the last thing we were to resort to, you know, was the use of that's enforcement, you know, making sure that recalcitrant ones or people who actually have decided to disobey are arrested and made to be dealt with, with full rigors of the law. And so we implemented this on the ground. And for a matter of fact, we know that an operation like this, we're not going to have it so smoothly because there are different segments of people within the society. And as much as people will decide, to obey and comply, there are others, for whatever reason, no matter what you do, they will still disobey. And some of them will even want to even provoke the police to see the reactions of the police officer. We have tried to do everything within the limits of the law. And I am sure it is because of this, that is why the Imposition of Restriction Act, that gives us the legal backing on what to do. But that notwithstanding, on the ground, we try to use the level.
Well, just hold on. Let's go to Tesano, where we have to continue with Joseph Akable. Joseph, will you continue where you left off? What have you picked up so far? Joseph? Okay, so Joseph is currently showing us pictures of how the interaction or the inspections are undertaken. And of course, hello, Joseph. Hello, Joseph Akable. What have you picked up so far from where you left off?
Can't hear me. Roland, can you hear me?
I can, Joseph.
And so in terms of the enforcement, is a bit on a high in terms of those who use this route compared to what they experienced yesterday. And so what you can see is a police officer that has stopped the vehicle. So what happens is that when a commercial vehicle comes in, they stop the vehicle. These are vehicles that are heading towards Accra, and so they are stopped here. And then they ask those in the car to come down and show the identification to the police officer. And so once he checks it and he realizes that most of those in the car don't have any business going to town, they ask the car to turn around and go back to where it came from. On the other hand, if there are some of those in the car who have business in town or part of those who have been exempted, then what happens is that those people, if they are in the minority, they are made to come down and wait for some time here. And so when another car comes that has enough space and has more people who are allowed to go, then those people are allowed to go over to where they are going to. And so that is it by way of the process that is being implemented here. It's not really affected the flow of traffic here much. And so you can see the interaction between the police officer and some of the people here. I'm just taking the microphone a bit closer to hear what exactly is happening here. So he's asked them the questions, he's satisfied. The driver is a bit raising concerns, but I mean, this is the exercise that they are carrying out, and they must go ahead with this particular process. What is interesting to note that there's one gentleman that I saw earlier. He had come in, he says he works for the judicial service, but the car that he was in, the car was asked to go back. And so it was a bit problematic for him. He's currently standing here at the bus stop. He says he had called his office asking that a car could be sent to come and get him. But that car has not come in yet, and so he is still waiting to see how he's going to go over, or perhaps if, like the police did for some of those who came in earlier, if there is a car that they can get, that they've given the clearance to go ahead, then they will allow him to join that particular car. And so the situation here at Tesano is that the police are strictly enforcing the measures that were announced by the president, and they are ensuring that only those they are allowing to head towards town are persons who have some business in town. If you are not, then you are simply asked to go back, Roland.
Well, thank you, Joseph. Just real live or real-time action on the ground as to what the police and the military are doing. We've been joined by ACP Kwesifori. He is Director for Operations, the Accra Region Command, same place where Madam ASP Ifyatenge also, DSP Ifyatenge also works. Okay. Now, in the meantime, I've seen that, and I witnessed this yesterday as well. I noticed that depending on the area, for example, yesterday I went through Ashaiman before going home. So your people were very strict. People with IDs even I had an ID, and I was returning from work. It was difficult. There's a gentleman this morning we've seen, works with the judicial service, also has an ID, and he's been asked, look, get off that car, let the car return. Yesterday, I also got a return as well. Why do we have such processes and checks being undertaken at various roadblocks, but being varied depending on the area?
Okay, one thing is every operation of this nature is not static, but dynamic. And being dynamic, officers have to use a lot of discretion and intelligence-led. And being intelligence-led means they have some kind of pieces of information regarding that very community they're operating from. And by so doing, that will better shape them, to prosecute the agenda better. For instance, as you said, you've seen some variation as you move along in the city and its outlying areas. Yes, we have 14 divisions in Accra. And the 14th division, each community has its own peculiar challenges, problems, and success stories regarding this operation. So commanders at any given point give instructions through the radio that we have. For instance, that gentleman, I think the police are giving him a better offer. He has an ID card. Gentlemen,
even in that state, they are giving a better offer.
Sometimes even we, being a judicial, this anytime a police car passes by, we can offer such guy,
a ride back
to his office, or look out for a car for him. It maybe all of them in the car are not essential workers. They are just going to loiter around, or engage in a whole lot of other activities that may be detrimental to the operations. And let us not forget that the operation has its own cardinal goals and principles in mind. And in every law enforcement, the officer has a lot of discretion vis-a-vis the law and the regulation that we are operating from. So that makes them, to exercise that kind of authority.
ASP Ajama, are you still on the line?
Yes, I'm here.
We noticed, and our reporters confirmed this yesterday, sometimes you return the commercial vehicles, but within the trotros, you would have maybe a nurse or somebody who is in the exempt category. Why do you do that?
I think two things. What we realize is that sometimes the vehicles, you ask the persons in the vehicle and you realize that most of them, as my colleague said, are just coming to town for nothing. They may not have any tangible reasons for coming to town. And let's assume that a trotro that has, say, 10 persons and only one person is in the exempt. I think it's prudent to let that one person come out, find alternate transport for the person, and ask the others to go back.
Okay. Now, we'll open the phone lines. We actually do have two numbers, even though it's only one that has been displayed. We have 03022116911 or 2. 03022116911 or 2. And we have a caller on the line. Good morning to you. Where are you calling from?
Good morning. My name is Franklin.
Please, can you speak up, please?
Good morning. My name is Franklin.
Please go ahead.
Yes. I just want to comment on this issue on the road with the police and the military. As a matter of fact, if we can leave the military and the police to do their work, because I just stepped out and came back, some drivers are just misbehaving. they are misbehaving and they need to be disciplined. Let us not restrict them. You see, no policeman or military man will intentionally decide to beat a driver or whatsoever.
Please, where exactly are you calling from? And then just give us your own situational observation. It makes the question and answer session brief for us, please.
Well, with my observation, when I stepped out now.
Well, sorry, please, the line is still active, 03022116991. Make sure that you call us, and any question that you have, we can answer. Let me go on to WhatsApp, and we have a couple of your messages there. And this one says that I'm in Tema. When I go to where I work at the General Hospital, when I go to work, sometimes I'm returned. When I use my car, I'm allowed, even though I have an ID on me. And we'll keep that question. There's another caller on the line. Please, where are you calling from? Good morning.
Good morning. I'm calling from Kumasi. I just to be precisely.
What's your name, please?
My name is Adnan.
Adnan, you're calling from Ejuso?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Kumasi.
Okay. You have any question for the police? We also do have your Deputy Regional Commander also on the line, so we're all listening.
Oh, okay. Specifically, my question is not directed to the police. It's to the military. Because the way they are mishandling, especially the youth, is not fair. Me, myself, I've witnessed not twice, more than 3 times. Because who MC for the assembly has come out on the Israel FM, I'm sure it's one of the most major radio stations, to
please, what have you witnessed and what's your question? I think it makes it easier for us. Don't do narrations.
For me, I was just standing on the roadside, with my wife at the hospital. And I just saw the military vehicle. The moment they just saw us, they started throwing dirt on us. This is not fair. I thought the first thing they should have done to question us. Because it's right for me to visit my wife at the hospital. But they just saw us and they started throwing dirt on us, which is not fair. At least they should have questioned us first. Me, myself, I was already admitted in the hospital. I came to the house to speak some things to my wife because both of us were admitted in the same hospital. But they started throwing dirt on us. It is not fair. At least they should have questioned us first.
All right, thank you. And ACP Ajama, are you on the line?
Yes, I'm here, my brother.
Okay, so can you answer or give a response to him? For example, I've also witnessed it where people are just walking along and they are confronted, and sometimes the whip or the cane sometimes are thrown around. Why is that done?
I think you asked the CIA, and the CIA responded to that. And throughout our briefings, we've impressed on the officers not to do that. But of course, the few recalcitrant ones will do that. But what we are doing is that if anybody suffers anything like that, we should make a report and we'll deal with these up. Again, you were asking why people are walking alone and we accost them.
Exactly.
Yes, but the thing is that we said there's a restriction. People must not come to town unless for specific reason. And so we want to ask people whether they are just, what are they doing in town? People must not just come to town for the sake of coming to town. Otherwise, we will defeat the purpose of this restriction, my brother.
Okay. Now, there's a question. Okay, I have a caller. A caller is on the line.
Hello?
Please, your name and where you're calling from, and your question, please.
My name is Emmanuel, calling from Chado.
You're calling from where?
Chado.
Chado.
Yeah.
Okay, please, your question.
Actually, it's not a question, but I want to thank the government for bringing these measures, which is very important.
Okay. The question from Tema, the person is a nurse, works at the hospital, has an ID. When she is using the private vehicle, she's allowed, but the commercial vehicle was returned. So.
Oh, one thing is, it is not a crime to join public transport. The police, we are very much aware of this, and that perhaps it is a question of the way and manner they answer questions. Where you going, where are you from, what kind of business, do you have ID card, and that. But police seeing a nurse would definitely, grant that offer.
Are you saying the nurse should be dressed in a uniform? That's better?
In uniform, better. If not in uniform, you should be able to produce ID card. Should be able. But one thing I will say is that regarding the case that you spoke about, police, we have long baton and truncheon, which are our official working tool. And when you have the truncheon and the baton, is accepted. But we want them not to use canes. But let me also make it important that somebody said the youth are being molested. It's not a question of being molested. We have an exercise, a target goal in mind to make sure that the people of this country, health and security to be maintained. And where you have somebody who takes the law into their own hand, walks anyhow, loiter anyhow, attract or get infected, go back to the community, the consequences are too much for us to bear. Insofar as you have a human right, you must also try as much as possible to protect the larger community. They also have a human right. And the police will not do anything to undermine, the human rights of individuals and group of persons. But we'll make sure that we prosecute the agenda of COVID-19 safety measures. So let them know that you cannot just go out there and you must maintain social distancing. For instance, you go to some places along the market roads around CMB and other areas, distancing is not part of their language, and the police will make sure that you comply with those.
Well, we already have another caller on the line. Please, your question, your name, where you're calling from, and your question. No summaries. Hello?
Hello?
Please, what's your name? Where are you calling from? And give us a question.
My name is Kelvin David. I'm calling from Tema.
Question.
Yeah. Please, I noticed that the policemen on your video doing some checking. Sometimes they take an ID without wearing an anglo. I don't know why. And I don't see them sanitizing their hands.
Yes.
Yes, we can. You answer that one.
In that regard, I think we received a number of PPEs that were supplied to them. I am yet to also find out why they are doing this actually without gloves, because most officers have been issued with such gloves to work with them, so that they themselves do not expose themselves to the danger that as we are all fighting.
All right. Do we have a last caller on the line? Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Please, your name, where you're calling from, and your question. No narrations.
Me from OEB.
Please lower the volume on your set and give us your question.
Yeah, my name is Nee, calling from OEB.
Go ahead.
Can you move house during this period? What I mean is that can we move from one accommodation to another?
Please.
From one part of town to the other part.
So let's say from OEB to where?
Anywhere within the lockdown area.
Okay, so you want to move from one OEB household to the next?
That question.
Is that what you're saying? You want to move from house 1 to house 2 to go and do what?
I think he's getting everything wrong. We want to know why you are going. I think the restrictions and directives are very clear. If you have to go out, for now, everybody is indoors, or everybody is expected to be indoors. And that if you are going out, you are either going out for food, water, banking transactions, drugs, pharmaceutical, products, or hospital. So if you don't fall within any of these categories, then of course the police would definitely question you and return you if we have to.
Okay. ACP, are you on the line?
Yes.
There are concerns, and I'm reading this from WhatsApp, that when you have ghetto areas, you tend to be very strict. And when you go to East Legon and And some of those places, the restriction is a bit lesser.
My brother, I think that the answer is obvious. The East Legon areas you're talking about, you won't find people, as it were, breaking the protocol. However, if you go to where they are ghettos, you find a lot of the young men grouped together in a small place who are not respecting the social distancing policy. And so we would want to break them up in order that each one of them would go home. And so, I mean, it is not that we are being high-handed on certain members of the public as against others, but it is part of the strategies that we are enforcing to ensure that the lockdown is strictly followed.
Okay. Now, thank you for joining us, ACP, and that's where we leave you all, and we'll deal with the two of you as we wrap up on this. I noticed yesterday when I was making entry into just cantonment, it was easy. I was making entry into Ashaman, I had to wait for minutes. I'm the same person.
Each community has its own history and what happens in them. And one thing I will say is that we are not discriminative, but in line with our operation order, we know where challenges are. We know where we have lesser challenges. And for instance, the Sherman that you spoke of, the population is very huge, and the police have to make sure that they put stringent measures on the ground to make sure that people comply with. For instance, East Legon, not that people don't violate some of the regulations. We see people driving around and we stop them, check them, and we ask them to go back and so forth. There are also a lot of infractions in those communities. But one thing is, as I said, the police have that discretionary power. And every situation demands a strategy within the larger frame. So all that we are doing at Ashama, Nima, Sukura, and all those things are in line with the prevailing situation, right? So it is not, we are not abusing the right, but we are appealing to them that, look, make sure that you take good care of yourself, stay at home, don't go out there. And you know, even some have even deceived the police who are going to the former station. And don't forget, we have the CID and we have intelligence-led systems, you know, to track. And you follow the person and you see that person will not go to pharmacy shop, but rather you find him at a beer bar. There we have to smoke you out and ask you to go. Either we arrest you or we send you to the police station for questioning. But one thing is that let us play it safe. Because when you take it on a much lighter note, there is the likelihood that you might infect others, even your loved ones, in your own house or community. Therefore, let's be serious about it. The police will prosecute this agenda and will not abuse human rights of individuals. Will make sure that rather we look up to the law and the regulations guiding this exercise. The operational teams are out there, and we are doing everything possible with our sister security agencies, the military, you know, to make sure that we protect the good people of this country. And those who have decided, you know, to take the laws into their own hands, to challenge authority and so forth, will not be allowed.
Okay, I have this one from Jay from Techiman, and he says that I think the security personnel should allow offenders to sweep areas instead of beating them. And I've seen videos of people squatting, doing press-ups and things like that.
Yes, as we have said, I think the explanation is still the same, because there are penalties for people who flout these rules, and these ones are well, you know, expressed in the Impositions of Restriction Act, and that if anybody offends or breaches or violates any parts of the entire exercise, of course, I would always go for a better option of arrest and make the person face, you know, the due rigors of the law. But with the issue of this East Legon that falls under ASIO, I would want to say that even right from the beginning of this exercise, they have even actually impounded about 30 vehicles in that area, you know, most of which were private vehicles for flouting the directives. So if you want to say that some people are giving some privileges, and it's neither here nor there. We are very serious on the ground, and whatever task that we have been given, we are ensuring that we are rolling them up to the core. And so we are not leaving anybody, neither are we leaving any stone unturned. So it is not as they are saying that, oh, some people are giving some preferential treatments, we are being hard-handedness on strategy that best works for me. I believe that that is what I will go for.
Akaswa, we witnessed this morning, one of our mates just witnessed 2 people who offended or were deemed to have offended or breached the rules or guidelines. They were made to desilt gutters. Omu, you got him.
One thing is, we've witnessed instances where people drop, you know, a whole lot of things. Garbage and so forth. And when you drop it and the police sees it, you have to take it back to where you're coming from. And perhaps it may be within that angle, you know. And also let me also make it that the use of force that, you know, sometimes the security service, some, you know, engage in assault without battery, they will look at you with impunity and tell you other things. The policeman will make sure that you comply with, you go back. We're not going to assault people, but let us not use pockets of some of these instances to undermine, you know, the general operations of what we're doing. The operation have been good, it has been well directed by commanders, and we are doing great. Day 3.
Okay, let me ask you, on a scale of 0 to 10, how will you rate the operations of
for day 3?
Yeah, yes.
It may be 8/10.
Can you scale it for me?
Yes, we were addressing the issue of the nurse who had probably to come down because probably he was using a public transport. I would say that, of course, because of the fact that we are not in ordinary times, we'll continue to appeal with management, you know. If these times, if they can try and find some transport for them to cushion them, you know, I think that will help, because we address these things with the Tesano, you know, road. Of course, we said that if you are going essential worker, and of course you have every identification that the police can resonate with. Of course, we may not be able to let the transport or the commercial vehicle go, but we may bring you down and probably find a better alternative for you. So if I am going to delay, you know, for some of these reasons on the road, then we would always appeal that management of essential workers should definitely consider some of these things and also support their staff to be able to deliver.
Well, thank you very much. And that is DSP Ifiatenge, the regional PRO for Accra Region, Ghana Police Service. And I've had also in the studio ACP Kwesi Fori, Director of Operations, Accra Region, Ghana Police Service. Thank you. And also on the line from Kumasi has been a Deputy Police Commander for the Ashanti Region, ACP David Ajem, helping us with the discussions and also taking your questions. But I tell you, there's a military man who had been getting some commendations on social media. And we posed a question on Facebook before we close the show. We'll let you know what your responses have been so far. We have more questions and answers when it comes to health. And we have our AM doctor, Dr. Joseph Akama, right here, streaming into the studio. He is a cardiologist. We're talking your health, what you need to do, any question related to health. Please make sure you ask the questions next.
All right now is Ask the AM Doctor here on the AM show. We know our healthcare system is dealing with the largest public health crisis right now, the coronavirus pandemic. And so as much as possible, you want to manage your situation, but how do you do that? Let's say hello to our AM doctor. We've got cardiologist Dr. Joseph Akama joining us via Skype from his consulting room. Good morning to you, Doc. Thank you very much for joining us here on the AM show.
Good morning, Mama V.
Great.
How are you guys doing?
Oh, we're trying to keep safe. The Lord is on our side. So, Dr. Joseph Akama is in his consulting room. You'll be consulting from where you are. So let me just straight away activate the phone lines. You can give us a call 0302-211-69102. You can also send me a WhatsApp message. You'll have the number on the screen shortly. You can give me a call right now. Doc, let's start. If you have any underlying health issues, what do you have to do right now? If you have issues with your heart, if you've got diabetes and other illnesses, what do you have to do so you don't rush to the hospital? Because that's the last place you want to go right now.
Thank you. Good morning, viewers. Before I start, let me give a big shout out to the National COVID team, to all the frontline healthcare workers who are working hard to keep this infection down. Now, if you have chronic diseases like diabetes, hypertension, heart condition, or if you are told you may be having any of these, so watch your weight and diet and etc. Please follow the national guidelines. If you live in the areas where there's a lockdown, please stay indoors. Take your medicines regularly. Make sure you check your blood pressure, check your sugar. If you don't have any instrument to check these, then please go to the nearest pharmacy to check them once a while. But before you get out, you have to cover your nose and mouth, preferably with a mask. If you don't have a mask, please wear a handkerchief that you use to cover your nose, like we normally do when we're trying to avoid dust. Please take these instructions very carefully. Take your medications regularly as your doctors directed you. And then, if you have any problem, please contact your doctor before venturing out. Most hospitals have alternative methods to consult over the phone. For instance, if you see me at Kolebu, or you see any of the internal medicine physicians at Kolebu, we have a hotline you can call anytime for us to get your medication. Now, having said that, if you have a condition that is serious, go to the nearest hospital and make sure when you get there, your nose is covered, and then you consult the doctor there. I believe this covers most of your questions.
Take us through, and what do you have to do if you particularly suffer from any of these? So let's go through in terms of if you have cardiovascular disease, diabetes, chronic respiratory disease, abnormally high blood pressure, or cancer.
Yes. So on the screen now is showing the risk of dying from any of these conditions if you get infected. So the heart condition, the cardiovascular diseases, 10.5% of infected patients with cardiovascular disease will die. So it is imperative that you prevent the infection at all costs. Now, imagine you have cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and abnormally high blood pressure. Your risk is very, very high. So for cardiovascular disease, what I have told my patients is that stay at home and take your medications regularly. avoid coming out of your home if you can help. So what are the cardiovascular diseases? Anybody with heart failure, anybody with angina, or who has had bypass surgery, who has palpitation that was diagnosed as cardiac arrhythmia, or valve problem that is affecting the function of the heart. And then there are other people who do not already have cardiovascular disease. So if you are having shortness of breath, difficulty breathing, leg swelling, please, those people who are not on medications, go to the nearest hospital. If you're experiencing chest pain, go to the nearest hospital. Outside these, if your condition is controlled, stay indoors as much as possible.
All right, Doc, I want to
and avoid getting infected.
Okay, great. Doc, let's go to the phone lines now. We have some people joining us. Evans is in the Volta region. Good morning.
Good morning, madam.
Yes, sir. You're on air. Let's hear you.
Yeah, I have two questions. My first question is this for only the condition, is this specifically for the cardiovascular disease?
Please explain. You said, is the condition...
Yeah, I have two questions. The first question is, the condition that the doctor was talking about, is it only for the cardiovascular disease?
Okay, I'm not sure I understand it, but let's see. Dr. Kama, did you get the question?
Yeah, I'm saying that the question is it only specifically for cardiovascular disease?
Evans, let me pass that on. Let's hear the second one, and then I'll get the doctor to come in.
Okay.
So what's your second question?
Okay, my second question is that it is very difficult to differentiate between COVID-19 issues and the doctor can kindly help on those things and that matter to let us know very well. Because somebody maybe has electric, but at the end of the day, ending up thinking of those things, as you know, our heartbeat and everything is worrying us. So I'll be very happy if the doctor can differentiate between the three categories of this disease: tuberculosis, COVID-19, and COVID. All right.
Okay. All right, Evans. Thank you. Doc, I don't know if you appreciated that question coming from Evans.
Yes. It looks like his question was whether the infection was restricted to people with cardiovascular diseases. No, Evans, COVID-19 does not respect anybody, whether rich or poor, whether sick or not sick. So you have to cover yourself, protect yourself. What I was saying is that if you have cardiovascular disease and you get infected, you are likely to die from the condition. As compared to normal people, 1% of normal people may die. 10% of cardiovascular patients may die when they get infected. So that is the difference. A cardiovascular person is 10 times likely to die. Very important.
Okay.
If you have diabetes and you have cardiovascular disease, your chances of dying is exponential. So please, don't get me wrong. COVID-19 can infect everybody.
Okay. All right,
but
Doc.
when you have medical conditions,
Doc,
then you get
there's the second leg of that question, but I want us to go to Cape Coast real quickly and join Afo. Afo, good morning. Let's hear your question real quick.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Let's hear you.
Yes.
Afo, please go on.
Yes. Good morning. I would like to ask Doc, how do people prevent excessive eating now that they are in their houses? Some of them don't have enough compound to exercise, and boredomness brings excessive eating or overeating.
Is that a personal problem?
Yes, so during this time, I want to ask Doctor, how do we prevent excessive eating whilst watching TV? Because it's also, for me, a challenge now.
Okay. All right, sir. Thank you very much for your question. Doc?
Yes. So let me go to Evan's question.
Mm.
The difference between TB, common cold, and COVID-19. COVID-19 is a new virus called SARS-CoV-2. It was such a way that when it gets into your body, it attacks your lung and your immune system, and then cripples you. Cripples you.
Yeah, Doc, can you just, Doc, apologies, can you just hold your thought? We have somebody joining from Achimota. Can we take that question? It looks like we have to continue this, God willing, tomorrow because we don't have a lot of time right now. Do I still have you on the line?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, yes, sir. Let's hear you real quick.
Yeah, I want to find out. We are being told that people are dying without any health underlying factor.
Mm-hmm.
What would be the possible reason for people to die without any health underlying factor?
All right. Okay, so so that's your question. Thank you very much. The good news is we get to spend a bit more time on this. So, Doc, we can hear the differentiation. You're talking about the tuberculosis and COVID, and then we'll come to the rest of the questions that came through.
Okay, thank you very much. So I can relax and explain it better.
Yes, you can.
I was trying to rush, making mistakes. Anyway, so COVID-19, as I was saying, is a new virus called SARS-CoV-2. It infects the respiratory tract and attacks your lungs and makes it such a way that the lung soaks in water, literally, so that the person cannot get air, oxygen. It also attacks the immune system so that the body cannot fight the COVID-19 virus. So this is transmitted by droplets. You see, the way I'm talking to the microphone, if you check my computer screen, there is tiny, tiny amounts of saliva on my screen. Assuming I had an infection, the screen will have that infection. And then when you touch that screen, you give it to yourself. That is how COVID-19 is transmitted. That is why they want us not to contact each other. Don't stay close to each other. 2 meters at least. Now, TB, on the other hand, is by airborne. So when I have TB and I cough out, the TB stays in the air and is caused by bacteria, not virus. Bacteria are bigger, and TB bacteria can stay in the air for about 6 hours. COVID-19 viruses can stay in the air for a shorter period. But they're saying that maybe some of the saliva droplets are so small that it might be carried in the air for longer distances.
Okay.
That is why the government has advised us to stay at home, cover your nose if you are sitting next to somebody in a trotro. If you're in the hospital, all doctors, the kitchen in the house. If you're by yourself, write down a schedule of how you're going to eat and when, and what you're going to eat. Anytime you are tempted to go and break the rule, exercise instead.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Whilst I get ready with the messages that you've sent, you can also give us a call on 0302-211-6912. Ask the AM doctor. And our doctor who's consulting for us this morning is Dr. Joseph Akama. He's a cardiologist. He's usually at Kolebu, but today he's consulting exclusively for us. So if you've got any questions at all that you want to ask, can we go back to this chat, because you talked about the cardiovascular diseases. We haven't touched on the diabetes. How do you control? But let's go to the phone lines. We've got somebody joining us. Hello, good morning. Oh, hello, good morning. When you call me, you have to turn down the volume on your television set. So please turn down the volume on your television set so we don't get any feedback coming from the TV. You can speak through the phone. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir. What's your name, please?
Yeah, my name is Uncle George, alias Bruce Lee from WA.
Okay. Uncle Bruce Lee, let's hear you.
Commendation to you, and then your program, and then the guest. It's an old friend. I just want you to extend my appreciation to the wonderful things that he's doing.
Okay. All right.
Joe.
Thank you
I hope you remember me.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bruce Lee. But we're strictly consulting. Dr. Akama is consulting today for us. So if you've got questions, keep them coming through. I see your messages still downloading, lots of them. So it's going to take a bit of time. So, Doc, whilst we wait for that, take us through, if you've got diabetes, how do you control it so you don't rush to the hospital around this time?
Yes. So if you have diabetes, please make sure you have a line with your doctor or the nurse. Number 2, try to check your sugar regularly, at least once a week, if you can afford it. And then take your medications as you were directed. Fortunately for us, the pharmacists have been very kind and very cooperative with the doctors. So when you take your medication to the nearest pharmacy, the pharmacies are likely to fill it, unless they are restricted medication. So diabetic medications, hypertensive medication, heart condition medications are usually filled by the pharmacists. So please, make sure you're taking your medications regularly, eat regularly, avoid sugary stuff like Coca-Cola, Fanta, or any of those fizzy drinks, or any juice that you buy from the market. Avoid them.
Okay.
That is if you're diabetic.
Okay. All right. Let's talk to Simon. Hello, good morning, Simon.
Good morning. Yes, thank you very much. My concern is about the public education about this epidemic. You know, I remember very well in the 80s that the Ministry of Information has these pickups with the horn speakers that they used to educate people in the villages. Now, from the day one of the lockdown, I realized that most people don't even have idea of what is happening. The market areas, people don't even have TV, they don't have phones and things. How would they get information?
Okay.
So my suggestion is that if the Ministry of Information can go out with those horn pickups to announce in the public area, like the market areas, remote areas where people don't even have idea about this thing.
Okay.
So that
All
they
right.
can understand better.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for your suggestion. Doc, you have to hang on for me. We have to quickly go to Tamale on the disinfection exercise and hear the minister.
And all of them, we have called on them to come on board. Then also, here in Northern region, we have very strong traditional leadership. The chiefs are very key. When they talk, the people listen. Their jurisdictions, they listen to them. So the chiefs are leading the crusade with regards to the compliance rate to the guidelines and the way we need to conduct ourselves to avoid the pandemic. Then also the religious leaders, that has to do with the imams and the Christian leadership. They are all doing it, the assembled men and women. These are people at the basic ladder of the society. They have constant interaction with the people day and night. So therefore, we want the people to own the process. And that is why we've gone down to them, and they are doing most of the sensitization and the advocacy. And it's going down very well, and people are complying.
Before we go, the problem has been one of the ladies has escaped 3 days now. People are worried. What is the state now?
Yes, out of the confirmed 10 cases that we've been talking about, the young lady amongst them who escaped, we are still on a very aggressive search for her. Even though we have still not gotten, we've gotten a number of tip-off that the security people went in there and they rather different people. Even though when they go, they are able to see some new arrivals. But these are people who were running away from the lockdown from Accra and Kumasi. But that notwithstanding, we are searching for her, and that was why RESEC met, and we sent a very sound warning to the general public that, look, whoever is having possession of the lady should try and release the lady, because she's already a confirmed victim. And if you are keeping such a person, this disease is deadly. It means you are exposing your life to danger. You just want to get to your grave. And your relations, your family people, whoever you come into contact with, you are exposing them to danger. So I'm appealing to the general public to remain calm. We will get them, because the security, they have always done it very well in this part of the region. I believe their capacity to fish out this lady, if only she's within the jurisdiction of the region, the security people will be able to apprehend her.
Thank you, sir, for making time with us. We are going to talk to the Northern Regional Police Commander, and we want to find out from him what different they are doing this time to ensure that we have a high level of compliance of all the things that the President has directed for us to follow as individuals. Yes, sir. Good morning and welcome to Joy News.
Good morning.
Sir, we want to find out. Last week there was an exercise and people bashed your outfit for excesses because they said people were clamped, people were lashed. Today looks very different. What went into today's exercise that is making it different?
Thank you. But even the last exercise we did, I don't want to believe that there was any excesses. I have not gotten that information. Maybe it is a perception. Yes. I have not received any report of any excesses of our men in this region.
The mayor of Tamale went on air to apologize, that he apologized on behalf of the security, that people were beaten. And so if you say you are not aware, that's surprising.
Yes, I'm not aware. If the mayor has gone to the distance to apologize, I don't know where exactly it happened. But as far as my reports are concerned, I have not registered any excesses. So I don't know where mayor is talking of. He may be the person to explain that. But what, coming to today's business, we are working together. You can see the police and the military here together as we used to. It is a national exercise, and we need to come together to be able to provide the needed security for the exercise to be carried out successfully. And that is what we have done.
Would you describe the whole process as successful?
Yes, it is successful. You yourself can see it. I will not describe it. How will you even describe it yourself? And you can see the environment here, that the place is very quiet and conducive for the exercise to go on. We have deployed our men, the military and the police at vantage points. Though it is not a lockdown, but the message has gone well, and the people have stayed away for this exercise to go on. A few ones who maybe come up to attend to one or two reasons, we are able to sort them out. For example, when we're just here, the A lady drove up that he wanted to connect to the hospital. He was going to the hospital. We have to just redirect her how she can get to the hospital. And that is what we are doing to assist in all these directions. And to me, the exercise for now, it is very successful. And you yourself can attest that.
Thank you very much. You heard the Northern Regional Police Commander. We're going to talk to the Public Relations Officer of Zoomlion, who are the lead institution for this exercise. Good morning, Madam, and welcome to Joy News.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
You have had some high level of cooperation from the region. Is that what you saw in the other regions?
That has been the whole thing, right from Accra to Kumasi, Sunyani, Savannah, Northeast, Upper East, Upper West, and everywhere we have been to. This thing has been just phenomenal. The cooperation has been just phenomenal.
Let's look at the spraying itself that is being done in the market. What are they targeting specifically?
So what's happening in the market, and I would want to ask Mr. Desmond Appiah to join me here. What we are doing in the market right now is doing disinfection, not fumigation, disinfection. And this is where we are using the WHO recommended chlorine that is being used to fight bacteria and influenza viruses and stuff like that. But Mr. Appiah is a technical person, so I want him to speak to it as well.
Now, before we speak to Mr. Appiah, let's look at how people are helping. People have volunteered. Is that what happened in the other regions?
Everywhere we have been to, I wish this was like the random up, but the reality of it is that the sacrifices that Ghanaians have made for this project to be successful is just phenomenal. We are talking about market women, we are talking about other businesses, we are talking about the security, police, even the people who are doing the spraying from all over the country. The kind of sacrifices that men and women have made to support the government's call or the president's call for us to ensure that this is done is just amazing. And I would want to, on behalf of the executive chairman of the Just One Group of Companies, Dr. Joseph Siamwe Japan, the president himself, and everybody, to thank all these people who have really cooperated and supported and helped in one way or the other in making sure that this has been successful. It's been awesome.
Thank you very much. Let's talk to Mr. Appiah. Mr. Appiah, what are you looking for in spraying these markets?
Thank you. I think the most important thing is that, number one, we are sending a certain message out there to everybody that this is serious business. If you can close all markets, for instance, in Northern Region, 109 markets, close all businesses, it means this is serious business. Number two, as we've heard from the doctors, the coronavirus spread, the transmission mode, is like a chain, and you need to break the chain. If you break the chain, you reduce the potential for it to move from one person to the other. So things like this nose mask, things like the disinfection, the idea is people go to market, they touch surfaces, they may hold a pillar, push a door and all that. If there's any potential for it to be there, you're trying to break the chain of it being able to be transmitted to somebody else by cleaning it or getting it out of the way. So I think the most crucial aspect of this exercise is first to send the message that this is very, 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 very important and serious. Secondly, to disinfect. The disinfection is extremely important. And I have to add, please, this does not mean that the virus has been defeated and we are all home clean. What it means is that there are other actions which the president has advised based on the recommendations from WHO and other experts. Hand washing, using soap under running water, disinfecting as often as we can, ensuring that we do not shake hands, we keep social distancing. We're only close by because we all have nose masks on. But keeping the social distance so that if somebody even has it, does not transmit to somebody else. Not attending gatherings with more than 25 people and all. These are the activities that we have to be doing in addition to this disinfection so that we are able to protect ourselves. We should always bear in mind that the number one protector of ourselves is ourselves. You are the protector of yourself. So these actions are extremely important. We need to take care of ourselves. If you have a cough and you're going to cough, please cough into a tissue or you make this kind of elbow and cough in there. Do not be putting your hand to your face. Why? Because most of the time, we touch our faces sometimes without even being aware of it. And if you're able to follow all these rules, it helps us. So
now,
thank you.
And that's one of the technical leads for Zoomlion, who are the lead sprayers, if you like, spearheading this disinfection exercise on the ground. That's Martina Bugri on one side. And let's go to Eliasu Tanko, who's in Savelugu right now, to give us a live situational report. Eliasu, what can you report from where you are? I see you with someone. Explain.
Yes, exactly. So this is the municipal chief executive for the Savelugu municipality, Ajia Aisha Tusedu, and she has been telling us the preparedness for this particular exercise. She said there is currently 2 biggest markets in the municipality and some satellite market. The team is currently beginning in the Savelugu market, one of the biggest market in the entire region. And she will be sharing us, she'll be talking to us about their preparedness so far. Thank you very much for joining us on Joy News. So talk to us about how was it difficult to get the people to comply, because the scene I'm seeing here is quite unusual. Normally you see a lot of people. This place we are standing here is also a busy lorry park. How did you do that? How were able to make sure that the people stay out and they don't come out today?
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I think that as a leader, you move with your people. And for me, I think that it's about consultation. When you do your consultation very well on the ground, you will have this success story to tell. And for me, I think that's where we started from. We actually had met with the market groups, people who have a stake in the market. We sat with them and then we told them that there was going to be this national exercise, especially in northern region. And we want them to see what they can do to help us. So they said, well, we are going to get back to our people, talk to them, and come to you for us to finalize. So I think yesterday, at around 2 o'clock, we finalized everything. We knew that our people were going to comply because we actually did not leave the leaders out of this program. If we had left them, we wouldn't have succeeded. Because as an assembly, we are to implement, but the implementers are the people on the ground. Are you getting me? We just bring the ideas on board and then they would implement. So we had to actually consult them to see what they can do to help us. And they really accepted it because we have told them, even before this exercise, they have made a lot of sensitization that we keep on telling them that they need to keep safe, our place safe. And then they pick it up. We put some washing stations on at some vantage points where people had access to and started doing all the things. And my health workers and then the team, public health committee, we have held so many meetings, about 3 meetings. And all those things were intended to get our people to comply and do certain things that is expected of them. So that in a way, Savelugu will be devoid of this pandemic. Are you getting me? I think once you do those sensitizations and you engage your people, then they will definitely give you what we are seeing today. And I think that is the story that we have to tell you. But it hasn't been easy getting them. We had to even get our pastors of various churches and imams who matter to get around the table for us to do some work on that. And they said, we say, you are the ones leading your people. You can do it for us. And we know you've done it before. So we are just putting everything to you. Go on the ground there and do what is expected of you. And we know because they have a lot of followers. Once they come saying something, people would accept it. And I think that is what you are seeing today. So when it got to the market, I think we engaged the leadership. And the leadership has actually lived up to expectation. If I tell you that this place is a very busy place, like you said earlier, and for us to get people to stay indoors, I think we have achieved something in this municipality, and we are most grateful to them for compliance. And
well, your municipal capital, you do not have a lorry park. This also serves as your lorry park, and immediately the team leave. Don't you think the drivers, the taxi driver, I can see 1, 2, 3 taxis, they are already parked. Don't you think that immediately you leave, they will be coming back here?
Thank you so much. If you had come earlier, you would have seen the team that we are working with. I think we have about 20 military men on the ground. 20 military men on the ground. We have about 18 or 15 policemen and other security officers. So we actually did not just say we are going to do it on our own. We needed support from these agencies. And they actually showed us by 6 a.m. the military were already here. It's just our logistics that actually delayed, especially water. And when it comes to Savulugu, we know the issue that water is life and it is not easy to come by. So that's what delayed our work. By now, you would have finished the work. But because of that, and we had to delay. And the people were ready. They were enthused to go around and get the work done. And once we deployed them, they did what is expected of them. And today, and look at what we are seeing now. So it's about people, they are going to be there. It's not like they are just leaving after we had finished with the work. They still will be around to go around and see that the right thing is done. And for me, I think anybody who defies this order and comes out will have his or herself to blame. And as you can see, it is working well. And we hope that we will not even have those problems emerging.
A short while ago, you revealed that some 3 foreign nationals is they are currently under quarantine. Talk to us about that. Who are these foreign nationals and how did you, arrest or how did you put them in this quarantine facility?
Thank you so much. Actually, we got information through our BNI officer that some 3 people that are beggars. Actually, it's a seasonal thing they've been doing or a yearly thing that they've been doing. Around this time, they come all the way from Niger to do some begging around for arms, for help, to go back to their country. So they do all these things.
So these are Nigerian citizens?
Yes, they are Nigerians. So they came into the country. For us, the story is that they were in Walwale, and then for about 5 or 6 days, they moved in here. So when we got the information, we decided to let the BNI go there and then see what we can do to put the situation under control. He got there, and it's like our own people didn't want to give them the right information. That was the difficulty that we had. But we had to tell them, we made the medical superintendent and the medical director to move to the house in which they were, to talk to them that it's about your life. Are you getting me? We are not saying that we are arresting them or doing anything to them. No, they are human beings as we are. What we want you to know is that this virus, if it happens that they have it, it's very, very infectious. It moves, and the rate at which once one gets infected is very high. So it's about you. So let us talk to them. If it is that they have it, let us find a way of bringing the situation under control so that Savulugu will be safe for you and I to live in. So they say, is that what it is? I say, yes, it's not about we taking them anywhere. We just want life to continue for them. And if life has to continue, then we have to be sure that we are not having any imported case in here. So they say, oh, if that is it, then please take them. We don't even want them again in our house. Take them away. And because we had made provision at one of our senior high schools where we were told by the Minister of Local Government, Honorable Haji Ali Mamama, to put some, to get a place where we can quarantine such cases in case we come across them. We just said, fine, then why don't we, that is discussion at a level. We said, why don't we, they came back, we discussed it. I called my minister, this is what we have, because we don't have a holding center, because we are here to prepare our place. They said, oh, we have a holding center. But later on, it turned out that we should hold them here than bringing them to Tamale. So we said, we don't have any problem. So we've moved them to the senior high school. They are there, and they are enjoying life. And they themselves, yesterday, they were happy. They said, we didn't know this is what you wanted to do for us. We are more than happy.
What are you doing for them there?
And what it does is that we buy them food, we give them water, they have shelter. I hope you get me. Comfortable shelter. And then they eat to their satisfaction. They have the air. I mean, are you around me? You have they come out, they sit and they chat among themselves. And they are getting food free. You understand?
Something they were taking their samples or?
Yes, what it is that the sample is to be taken today. You know, we don't do it here. We have to call a team from the teaching hospital to come and do that. So from what my head director told me, this morning they were to come and take their samples. Because this is their second day. They are supposed to come and take their samples and move it to TTH for further submission to wherever the test had to be done. So as of this morning, they hadn't even eaten. At the time we visited them with our food, they said no, this is what they were told, not to eat early in the morning because they were coming for their samples. And I'm sure by now their samples would have been taken and they would have taken their breakfast. We are preparing to get them lunch, and they even will get them supper. They are comfortable. They don't say when you go there, just that you don't understand their language. I will have moved you with there to see them, and then when they speak, you will have heard exactly what they are telling you. They are happy. So we are just hoping that after the test, which we pray for it to be negative, we would still keep them for the 14 days, and then after which we'll make sure that they get to wherever they are coming from. And they themselves said they didn't know. When they go to Warwale, the radio stations and then the TV stations, they don't understand English. Neither do they understand Mampurle, which is the language of the people of Lawa. Well, they didn't understand. So though they were saying a lot of things, but they didn't know what it meant. And nobody told them like we are saying to them now. And that something like, if they knew, they wouldn't have even left their country. That was it.
So, Mama V, as you can hear the MCA saying, she just confirmed that some 3 Nigerian nationals are currently being quarantined at the Savulugu Senior High School. She said everything is being provided for them. According to her, they are feeling very comfortable, and they hope that today their samples will be taken by health officials from the Tamale Teaching Hospital, where it will be proceeded to the research center in Kumasi for these particular samples to be tested before they will take any other further action. She's still here with me. I want to find out from her the situation about the Kayayes, because this is one of the municipalities where we record a huge number of teenage girls going to the south to engage in this Kaya business. Quite recently, you've heard the situation we are having with the Kaya, where several dozen of them have been intercepted on their way from Kumasi or Accra, where we are currently having a lockdown. They have been intercepted, and some of them have been forced to go back to Accra. I want to speak to her and find out what their preparations are in this particular regard. I'm sure you are monitoring the situation with the Kayayes, and all over the region in Sababa, in Bimbila, people are taking further steps to ensure that these people come in without this particular virus. What are you doing in the Savulugu municipality?
Thank you so much for the opportunity once again. For me, I think a lot has been done, right from the national level to the region to the municipality. A lot of intervention had been brought to us. I want to say a very big thank you to His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana and his team of men, the Vice President, for their able leadership. I think we can see it as far as this pandemic and other issues are concerned. They've been up and doing. We have had logistics. If I say logistics, I mean things that we are armed with to take care of this menace. Pandemic is available. We have received a lot of hand washing stations, medical equipment, that is the PPEs, protective clothing, personal protective clothing.
Do you have measures for this number of people, Kaya, so to speak, who are coming in?
Very well. That is what I'm just about telling you. So it's like on the ground, a lot has been done. And for us, as of Saturday last week, when they started the influx of our children, our sisters and our aunties, they were arriving. And even the men, I think we have some of them who do this, scrap businesses in Accra and other places. They came in their numbers. What we did was to get our various assemblymen to be in charge for us, because they are actually in various electoral areas where these people are going to live with them. So we made them to, first of all, take statistics of them as they arrive at the station. Because at that time, we actually had some challenge with thermometer guns. They were far away from us, but we didn't want to leave them to go without we knowing where they are going to. So they picked their statistics, and then now they have made them available to us. And our health workers and the volunteers in the various communities, that is the electoral areas, are doing a lot of sensitization as far as they are concerned. We know they are our own people. We need to be with them. But we've told them they should at least distance themselves a bit from them. And the temperatures are being taken by the health institutions. I get me. There are reports I think I have one electric that told me we have got about close to 25 people arriving, and I've made sure that they've come together. We are going to go and do the test. That is for now. It's about the thermometer gun for us to do temperature before you even go to the other steps that you need to do. So I think we are on course, because for us, all manner of people have come on board to help us. Our corporate bodies, they are helping in getting at some of these stations. The health workers, I think radio discussions, sensitization, moving from one community to the other is what we are doing. And for us, I think that it's picking up. And we hope that at the end of the day, it's Savulgu that is going to be devoid of this pandemic.
All right. Thank you very much. That is the Municipal Chief Executive for the Savulgu Municipality, Hajia Aisha Seidu, and two takeaways. She said the disinfection exercise currently is going, starting very smoothly, and you heard her earlier disclosing to us that some 3 Nigerian nationals are also under quarantine in the municipality here. Their samples will be taken by officials at the Tamale Teaching Hospital. I want to show you around a little bit. This is quite unusual. I mean, this place does not get quiet like this, but today it's very quiet. I can see some few people lurking around. We'll try and speak to that gentleman here and ask him exactly what they are currently doing here. I want to try and speak to some of the people who have come out to see what is going on, what they are doing currently. I'll try and get to them and have a word from them, try and understand why they are out, because the information is that everybody should stay indoors. I want to find out from the people what they are currently doing outside. Afakaula, that's why. Oh, well, I've just gotten a gentleman here. I'm trying to find out why he's here, whether he has a store here, and he says no. And so that is the situation currently. The disinfection exercises has begun here in the Savulgu municipality. We are currently at the Savulgu Central Market. From here, we'll be moving to other satellite market within the municipality, and we proceed to the eastern corridor part of the region. Mama, we back to you.
All right, that's Eliasu Tanko there from an obviously deserted Savulgu market right there. We've got Martina Bugri on the other side as well. The disinfection exercise ongoing in Tamale. We'll bring you a lot more on this. But we quickly want to go back to Dr. Joseph Akama and wrap up. Some of you sent us messages on the WhatsApp. Doc has the messages now. He's going to look through and answer. We unfortunately won't be able to do all, but we will do a few. So hello again to you, Doc. Thank you very much for still holding on and staying with us here on Joy News. So we have about 5 minutes to wrap up with the questions that you've received. Let's hear you address the concerns.
Okay, Mama V, really quickly, I want to tackle the issue of the saliva, the droplets, the distancing, the difference between viruses and bacteria. Viruses are very, very small. And this particular virus, the SARS-CoV-2 virus, that causes the COVID-19 infection, is so small that we cannot see it with our naked eyes. Bacteria are also small, but they are way bigger than viruses. So if I am speaking to somebody close to me and I have a virus, in my saliva, some of it will go to the patient or my friend. So that is why we wanted to have social distance. Bacteria normally causes serious infections like tuberculosis, certain types of pneumonia, boils, boils on the skin. Yes. So viruses causes infections like COVID-19, common cold, hepatitis B and hepatitis C. These are viruses. So the viruses are different from bacteria. Number two, if you're sneezing, doesn't mean that you necessarily have COVID-19. People can sneeze for so many reasons. Allergy, dust, common cold. That is why the doctors, the Ministry of Health is advising us, if you have any symptoms, stay at home, take the normal remedies, paracetamol, vitamin C, and then see how you do. If you're not feeling well, you call 112. Call 112 and explain the symptoms you are experiencing. They will have somebody get back to you or direct you to go to the nearest hospital. But when you're going, please cover your nose and mouth. It's very, very important because you might survive the infection, but your loved one might not survive it. That is the key point. Please cover your nose and mouth when you're leaving the home. The last question I wanted to tackle is about any worker who has serious medical conditions like asthma, heart conditions. Please let your HR know. Let your director know. Then they can exempt you. So, like Korle Bu has exempted a lot of sick people. So those are doctors who are sick. There are nurses who are sick. They've been exempted. But if you are hiding your condition from your HR, they cannot help you. So if you're not well, you have a medical condition, please declare. Of course, do it in such a way that nobody can get to know about your business. So my advice before we go is that people with chronic medical conditions have a high chance of dying if you get infected. So please stay at home. If you have to go see the doctor or go to the pharmacy, please cover your nose and mouth. There's a question about a diabetic whose medications are finished. Please take your bottles and boxes to the nearest pharmacy. They will fill it. If they have a problem, send your number to Mama V. She will send it to me and I will send you a prescription. Please take this serious. If your medications are running out, don't wait till they are finished. 1 week before they finish, please take your boxes to the pharmacy and they will fill it. The pharmacists have been very, very cooperative. If you're on special medications like morphine, like cancer medications, the doctors, you will have their number. Call them so that they can call the pharmacy. Please, this is very important. If your location is on lockdown, please obey the government rule. When you're going to the hospital, please cover your nose and mouth. Wash your hands regularly. And this particularly goes to healthcare workers. Please do not lose your guard. Cover your nose and mouth. Try not to eat anything in the hospital whilst working. So load yourself very well before you go to work. And then wash your hands very, very well. Please, we need you for the country. Stay blessed and stay safe. Mama V, is there any other issue you want me to address?
a lot more questions. So this is something that we have to do again, God willing, sometime next week, maybe early enough. So we will give you the necessary notice. But that's Dr. Joseph Akama. He's a cardiologist, and he's been very patient with us. Ask the AM doctor, and that's our doctor right there. We really appreciate. Enjoy the rest of the day, and please keep safe. That's Joseph Akama right there. Thank you, sir, for your time. All right. It's, of course, our extended programming here on the Joy News channel. We're bringing you the disinfection exercise that's ongoing in Tamale. We're going to get on the ground and get some more reports from Martina Bugri and Eliasu Tanko. Stay with us here on Joy News.